There we go. All right. I am really excited for this. This is Teddy's second time doing a guest speaker presentation. Teddy is the owner of Searchlight Digital and also moonlights as the SEO expert on the MyWolf design team. And I'm sure she remembers this, but after her last presentation last year, I emailed her like just completely flabbergasted. Not only could she talk about something that is incredibly overwhelming and confusing for most of us, but made it digestible in a real language. And we all kind of walked away going, shit, we've got some work to do. So I'm excited to have her back, and I'll turn it over to you, Teddy.
Amazing. Yes. Well, I'm so excited to be back. And last year we talked sort of about SEO in general, but I know especially with MyWolf Design and a lot of the clients that I work with as well, local SEO is still so prevalent and so important. And so today I wanted to dive in a little bit more specifically to how you can stand out online with local SEO. So today in the presentation, we're going to be going over a little bit about what is SEO, why it's important specifically for local businesses, some of the elements of local SEO and how to then optimize your website and your online presence for local, busting a couple SEO myths and some things that often hold people back from going in and doing SEO on their site, some key strategies moving forward that anyone can implement, and then of course some time for questions. So a little bit about the goals. Again, whenever I talk about SEO, one of my main goals is to take the scary out of SEO. I think, like Meredith said, a lot of people feel very overwhelmed, or you think, oh, I have to be a developer, I have to be a coder or a super tech nerd to be able to do this, but that's not true. There's lots that everybody can do for their site. I want to give you actionable tips, things that you can take away and start implementing right away. A foundational understanding of local SEO, because I think having that lens to start seeing how does this impact my business, what type of mindset should I use when I'm doing local SEO is super helpful. And overarchingly, just knowledge to make better decisions for your business. I think that local SEO in particular is just so valuable that it's something that should be in every business owner's Swiss Army knife of skill sets. So looking forward to getting everybody better informed. So a little bit about me. I've been working in digital marketing and SEO for the last 10 years, worked with hundreds of businesses, hundreds of websites in the last 6 years with Searchlight Digital, helping to drive more traffic and warmer leads to their website through search engine optimization. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur and small business owner, so I understand what those dinner table conversations sound like when you are running a business. And I understand that small business owners, what an impact they make for their communities, for their families, and for themselves. I'm also a mom of 2 little girls living in Victoria on Vancouver Island in Canada. So we have lots of things on our plate, and it makes it so that it's all the more important to start utilizing marketing strategies that get you passive leads to your website and the people that really connect with what it is that you have to offer. So a quick story time. I recently encountered a business that I think just really shows and crystallizes the value of local SEO. And there is a local gym that just opened up in my community, and I have been getting hit with their Instagram ads nonstop for weeks. They have clearly spent thousands of dollars on a really great marketing video that was professionally done. Their ads are getting dozens and tens of thousands of impressions. They're clearly spending a lot of money on ads. And when I go to learn more about the gym, I go onto their website, and all it talks about is their intro offer that they're promoting on their ad. I can't find any information on how to contact them, what their hours are, what the rest of their offers are. All they're talking about is sign up, $20 for 3 sessions. That's what their whole website says. They have a city listed that is next to our community, but not really our community. And when I go and actually search for gyms in Langford, which is my community, gyms in Langford, training in Langford, they don't show up. And when I finally search for their brand name, they have not claimed their Google My Business. There's no hours listed. Their website isn't connected. And the picture that they have of their business is the construction site from a couple years ago when it was getting built. So I see something like this, and every day I'm itching to just reach out to them and offer my help, because I see them spending all this money, all this time, all this effort on advertising and trying to get people to their website without taking advantage of some of the foundational elements that make local businesses successful online, that are essentially available for free. So I think it's just such a great demonstration of, by having the basics and by having some of those local SEO elements in place, you're going to get better results, not only from SEO, but also from any other marketing activities that you have. If you're driving people to your website from Instagram or advertising or wherever else, you need to have certain information on your site that makes people more likely to convert. And that's the type of lens that SEO takes when you're optimizing your site and your online presence. So that's just, in my mind, a prime example of the real value of this type of work. So I always like to start with, what is SEO? Because I think people have their own ideas, and the media likes to talk about what SEO is, but at its core, search engine optimization is about making the content that you have on your website, whether it's your services page, your home page, your Google My Business profile, the best and most relevant result for a given search. If someone is searching for your business, your services, what it is that you provide, how can you make what's on your website the best possible answer to their question? And really, that's what Google is also looking to do. Google, more and more with every update, with every change, is becoming more human-centered. And it's really focused on, how can we serve users best? And I think that that tends to take a lot of the overwhelm and the technical sort of scaries out of SEO, because anyone can look at their website and try to think, how can I make this helpful? How can I make this relevant? How can I make this so that if someone lands on my website, they know exactly what I do, and we can prove very quickly how we can help them and connect them with, the thing that they're searching for. There are certain elements to SEO, of course, technical, which spooks people, but things like making sure that your website has a security certificate, making sure that your website is secure, making sure that all of your web pages are actually enabled so you can see them in Google, making sure that things load quickly so that you don't have really big images on your website. That all falls under technical SEO. Then we have on-site SEO, which is about, do you have your keywords and your offerings and your location clearly included across your website? Do you mention where it is that you're located, what it is that you do, and incorporating those keywords sort of top to bottom on your website? Then, of course, there's content, which is sort of an offshoot of on-site optimization, but this is blog posts. This is the words really that you include on your website. It can be resource pages, anything where you're creating new content that, again, helps to answer the questions that people are asking. Then we have offsite, and this can include things like having a Google business profile, backlinking, which I'm sure everybody has sort of heard of, but even if you're a member of your local business, chamber of commerce, and they link to you, that's a backlink. So other websites mentioning your website, that's sort of offsite SEO in general. So why SEO in particular for local businesses? I've included some stats here that I think really show the value and the importance of having that local SEO, because a lot of people think, I'll do SEO later, or it's not very important. I have an Instagram, I have a mailing list. But when people, even if they see you on other platforms, users will go through Google to double check you. They will go and they'll want to get more information than what could possibly be included in an Instagram post. They want to go and double check and see social proof. They want to see your hours. They want to find out more about you. And Google is the #1 source for that. So having these things in place helps users along that journey, however they might find you. And SEO in particular is one of the only marketing channels that you will truly own. And I always ask people, what would you do if Instagram took away your profile tomorrow? If you're one main source that somebody else owns, Meta, owns, Instagram, owns Facebook, algorithms are constantly changing, reach is constantly changing. What would you do? And any work that you put into your website is always owned by you. So it's a really valuable long-term strategy that potentially can be more passive than some social media or even email platforms where you're having to constantly create content and constantly sort of feed into the machine to get results. So how is local SEO different? So when we talk about SEO in general, it's a lot of those tenets that I spoke about earlier, but Local SEO is different, one, because it's geographically focused. So that is explicitly mentioning your location as a part of your SEO. So it's not enough to just say that you're a Medispa or a realtor. You have to also mention exactly where you are and build those signals that sort of verify to Google, I am located here. And that means having things on your website, off your website, content that supports that, but really, again, focusing in on your geographic location. As well, when people make a local search, the search result itself looks different than for other search types. So if someone is searching for something near them or in a specific location, you're going to have the local pack show up, which is sort of that map with the 3 top results right at the top. So that is something that is unique to local search results. Oftentimes, you'll also see a lot of aggregator sites like Yelp or Yellow Pages also showing up for some of those local search terms. So there are some unique elements to local SERP results. There's also, of course, the importance of localized specific backlinks. So a lot of times people, when they're backlinking, will just try to kind of get on any website, and some of the maybe spam tactics that people are familiar with are just like, get 1,000 backlinks from wherever to boost the authority of your site. Not as much with local SEO. With local SEO, again, you want to have consistency of your name, your address, and your phone number. And that's going to help Google determine, yes, this business is in fact located in this location, and help to boost that local authority. There's also, of course, reviews and reputation management. So having reviews on your Google business profile in particular is a very important element of local SEO. And I'm going to be touching on that in greater depth a little bit further in the presentation. But mobile and voice search importance is also something to consider. So a lot of people who are searching for things that are local are searching on their phone. They're on the move. They want to find, a restaurant near them. They're looking for something in that moment. Maybe they're out shopping. They're looking for a particular store, something nearby to them. So also thinking and seeing through your research, what are some terms and how would people speak when they're searching for what you have? So sometimes that includes the near me searches. So someone's looking for, a coffee shop near me, and Google will be able to pick up their location and provide them results physically near them. So these are all sort of things that we think about when we're doing local SEO. And so there's a wide range of ways that local SEO really will help you stand out as a business online. And I know we work with a lot of, again, in-person service providers, work with a lot of like Medispas, therapists, realtors, local service providers, and these will apply in different ways based on your industry. But I thought that this gave a really good range of, the different ways that SEO can really help you. So the first is competitive differentiation. And really, it's interesting that in the local sphere, oftentimes the bar is quite low. Other people are not putting in the work. They're not doing the thing. They're not optimizing their Google business profile or their website. So by having SEO, you are able to stay 10 steps ahead of your competitors. If you're in a highly saturated market, it's all the more important to do SEO, because that way you can set yourself apart by niching down and by being really specific about what it is that you do, who you serve, and where you're located through your SEO. So you're able to sort of, again, stand out, cut through the noise that your other competitors might have if you have your website and your offsite presence optimized. It provides social proof. So if I, for example, am going to a Medispa and someone's going to be injecting something into my face or doing something that, is kind of invasive, I want to make sure that I'm hearing from other people that this person can be trusted. If you're a realtor, I want to hear that you're selling homes. So having that social proof through Google Business Profile reviews is really, really valuable. It also, again, helps to build trust. So like my example before with this training gym, if I Google them and nothing's coming up and they don't have hours, I'm not going to be spending hundreds of dollars a month giving them, a gym membership. These people don't seem very organized to me. Are they a fly-by-night operation? I don't know. So if you have an established online presence, that's going to start to help to build that trust before people even walk in your door. Also having local knowledge. So if you think in particular for, realtors, if you know an area really well, you know all the ins and outs, you know the location, you can demonstrate that through content on your site that shows that you are a local expert. Google loves this and users love this too. You can also have a locally relevant portfolio. So say you're an interior designer and you worked in, again, a particular city, a neighborhood, or a particular style of home. You can show that you have experience there. If someone wants to build in a particular area and they know that it's a really complicated process to get permits and all that kind of thing, or to maintain the character of that neighborhood, you can then create portfolio work and optimize for very specific locations to show people that you already have that level of experience and that your work is more relevant than another person's that might be a little bit more generic. Ease of contact. So again, whether they find you on Instagram, whether they're, just looking for something related to you and not you directly, you want to make sure that it is seamless for people to get in touch with you no matter where they are. So having your Google business profile, having your contact information very clear on your website, all of those things are very important for removing friction and allowing people to actually reach out and contact you. One of the other things that I really love about SEO is that the people who come to you tend to be a warmer lead than outbound marketing. So it's inbound where people are coming to you versus you just pushing a message out. People who come to your website have searched for something that is related to your business. So you're not trying to convince them that they need your service. They already know they need your service. Now it's just about showing them why you're the best choice. And I think SEO can really start to be an extension of that in-person experience. And obviously when we're, designing websites like Meredith does, creating this really beautiful online experience, it allows people to start to build that relationship and start to experience you and your business before they even meet you in person and before they even walk through your doors. So again, having clear, relevant information is going to start to allow people to sort of relax, say, okay, I know I'm in the right place. Let's start to learn more. So lots of different benefits depending on, of course, your industry and how it is that you connect with your clients. So for local SEO, there's sort of three places that we look to optimize. The first is your website. The second is your Google business profile. And your third is online directories. And so these tend to be the three main places that you can make an impact for your local SEO. And there are three main tenets and factors that really play into local SEO. The first is proximity. So how close are you to the person who's making the search? Relevance. So how relevant is your content and your business to what the person is searching for? And then prominence. And this is how relevant are you according to the internet? How many other websites mention you? How often are you on? Do you have a Facebook profile and an Instagram and a local citation in the business chamber? So taking all three of those into account, that sort of shows, and aligns with the three different places that we would want to be optimizing. So as we're looking through things, that's what we want to keep in our mind is how can we basically demonstrate proximity, relevance, and prominence. So for optimizing your website, you do, of course, want to incorporate those local keywords. You want to say, real estate agent in Markham. You want to be very clear about where it is that you serve and what it is that you do. And you also, again, want to create that local content. So sometimes we have clients who will make blog posts all about, a weekend guide in their city that incorporates their business and other businesses that they like, talking in particular about a specific neighborhood or even timely things that are going on. So trying to relate back to your services, to your location. And that can, again, be through landing pages, blog posts, or even just the content on your main pages. You do also want to, if possible, integrate your Google My Business profile with your website. We see this most often on a contact page. There's an option to basically embed your Google My Business map onto your contact page. It's a great way to form that connection between your offsite Google Business profile with your actual website, because those two do basically sort of speak to each other, and Google does take into consideration your website when determining if you should show up in maps with your Google business profile. So embedding or making mention or linking of your Google business profile on your website, super valuable. And then including your address and contact information. This is another way that you can, again, really reinforce that proximity through your website, is including your address. If you want to be fancy, you can add something called local schema markup, and it's basically code that goes behind the scenes. No one actually sees it, but it spoon feeds Google all of the information about your business, including your business name, category, hours, address, phone number, all of these things. But even if you just make it so that it's prominent and clear on your contact page, your footer, that's also incredibly valuable. So then the elements of a Google My Business. So Google, it was previously called Google My Business. It's now called Google Business Profile, but often those are used sort of interchangeably. As far as proximity goes, if you have an address and you have a physical location that you operate out of, it's best to add that address. I would not recommend adding your home address, obviously for privacy and safety reasons. But if you do have an office that you work out of, do try to get the actual address added to your Google Business Profile. That is an advantage when showing up in the maps and in the local pack. But if not, you can also set yourself as a service area business. And I often see people when they do service area business, they'll say, well, I serve everyone across North America, so I'm going to set my location as all across North America. But again, when we think of proximity, someone who is geographically closer to you is going to be more relevant than someone who's a little bit further away. So I would suggest just doing your city and leveraging the Google Business Profile for local search results. When someone searches for your business, your Google Business Profile will show up as basically a knowledge panel on the side. So even if someone is searching for you not in your city, your Google Business Profile will show up when they search for your brand specifically. But if they're searching for your service in their city, you're more likely to show up if you're a little bit more concise there. Then for categories and business information, basically you want to take advantage of everything that Google has to offer through your Google Business Profile. And you're going to have different options based on the type of business category that you select. I would suggest looking and seeing what are the business categories that other people in your industry are using as a bit of an indicator for what is going to basically rank highest. That is one of the most important ranking factors when it comes to your Google Business Profile, is selecting the right category. You can also choose additional and secondary categories, but it's not advantageous to just say, I'm going to choose as many as possible. Again, it comes back to relevance. We want to make sure that we're only choosing the most relevant business categories. So really up to 3 additional categories is advised. Anything more than that, and you're starting to dilute that relevance. But adding your services, adding any booking links, anything that Google offers to you, they now also offer the option to have your social media profiles integrated. So that's definitely something you should take advantage of, and keeping those keywords as well in mind, because when someone makes a search, Google is going to be looking over your profile as well as your website to see, is this keyword mentioned anywhere? So in your business description and in your services, you want to also make sure that you're keeping your keywords sort of at the forefront of our minds. Then, of course, we have reviews. So we want people to leave reviews, volume of reviews, as well as, of course, your rating and the quality of the reviews all play into whether you're going to rank in your local pack and how high up you're going to come in maps. So reviews is an important part of your Google Business Profile. And then, of course, your website relevancy. So if you have optimized your website appropriately, that is going to help support your Google Business Profile performance, because Google will see they're not just talking about all of these services or the things that they do on their profile. They're also backing that up with their website. So those two things do work together. So a little bit about reviews for SEO. So of course, asking for reviews can feel very intimidating. I totally understand this. I feel this as well, but it is a really important part of starting to rank locally and building that social proof and building that trust. So asking people directly is a really great way to get those reviews. If someone's had an amazing experience and they're raving about you, say, thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind, it would be really great if you could leave us a 5-star review, or if you leave us a Google review. So asking directly is always an amazing way to do that. You also want to make it easy to leave those reviews. I've started seeing in a lot of local businesses, those little stands that you just scan the QR code and then people can leave a review. That's really handy. In your Google Business Profile, you also have the option to get a short link that you can send people directly that will take them to leave you a review. So again, wanted to make it as seamless and easy as possible for people to take that next step. Another place that I see a lot of success with this is in using post-purchase emails. So I know that the salon that I go to, they'll send me an email a couple hours later saying, hey, did you have a great experience? Please leave us a 5-star review, and they will actually link directly in that post-purchase email to your Google Business, or to their Google Business Profile. So it kind of takes maybe some of the awkwardness out of it, where you're not having to ask it directly, but it's just sort of a part of your process and you're making that request. I know a lot of people feel nervous about adding it into post-purchase emails because they say, oh, well, what if someone isn't happy? Then what? And I do always recommend enhancing that email to say, if you had a 5-star experience, please leave us a review on Google. Was something less than stellar, please reach out or reply to this email and our management team will get back to you to make it right. So that way you're sort of capturing that moment of like, maybe not, not giving them free rein and giving them encouragement to leave a review. Although I will say, if someone's really upset and they're going to leave a 1-star review, they probably will anyway. So at least you're not losing the opportunity to capture those people who would give a 5-star review, but maybe it just doesn't cross their mind or they don't think of it. So using those post-purchase emails is very valuable as well. And then responding to existing reviews. I think this is, again, another missed opportunity that a lot of people don't really take advantage of, is when someone leaves you a review, you should respond to it, thanking them and saying, thank you so much for your review. We loved serving you, whatever that looks like. Actually engaging with and responding to reviews is a positive indicator for Google that you are a legitimate, trustworthy, and positive business. So even if you have not yet gone back and responded to any reviews, do that now. It's never too late. Go back and just say, thank you so much for your review. That's a really great indicator for everybody. One thing that I will note that I see as quite common practice in the real world, but that actually could potentially be a bit dangerous for your profile, is you cannot pay or incentivize for reviews on Google. It violates Google's terms of service. And how I most often see this is in a follow-up email, or even in salons in particular, saying, if you leave us a 5-star review, we will give you 5% off your next service, or we'll give you $50 off, or whatever that is. That's considered paying for and incentivizing reviews. And if one of your competitors was to see that, they could potentially take a picture of it, send it to Google, and it would then violate terms of service. You could have reviews removed. You could have your profile suspended. So doing the other ways where, again, you're reaching out directly, having it as post-purchase, having it be a goodwill gesture, is much more effective and sort of safer in the long term than incentivizing reviews, because you could get penalized for that. So a couple common SEO myths that I hear a lot and that I always love to address. I'll start at the top here, that SEO is one and done. I optimized my website one time and now I'm finished with SEO. I never have to do it again. And in some cases, yes, having the foundations of SEO implemented on your site can start to give you longer term results, even just from a one-time optimization. However, for things like your Google business profile, if you were to just set it up once and then never pay attention to it ever again, you wouldn't be getting reviews. Your information might be out of date. You might be losing opportunities if you start adding new services and you don't actually mention it on your profile. For holidays, if you have different hours or things like that, you always want to make sure that it's kept up to date. And same with your website. If you create your website, optimize it once. If you're in a very low competition or very niche market, you might be able to get extended results just with a one-time optimization. But for most people, you are going to have to put in some level of consistent effort. Usually that looks like blogs to help diversify your keywords and how you're showing up, to help establish and basically display your expertise in your particular industry. So there's always things that continue to need to be done to support SEO. In particular, if you're in a very competitive environment, you want to make sure that you're staying on top of it. So even if it's every 3 months, even if it's every year, checking in, seeing how you can shift and change. The Google algorithm is also changing. So things that worked once might not work now. So having a foundational SEO optimization, very important. Ongoing support is really where you're going to see a lot of the results. SEO is too complicated. Again, I think a lot of people think of SEO as coding and deeply technical. And I think this comes from a lot of the SEO industry itself, maybe trying to make things seem extremely technical and extremely complicated to win sales. That's not how I approach SEO. I believe in empowering business owners to understand how impactful SEO is so that everybody can have a human and user-focused mindset when it comes to their website. And again, that's really what SEO comes down to, is how can we best serve our clients through our website? That looks like clarity, relevance, a great user experience. All of that supports SEO without being too complicated. SEO is spam. I've talked to a lot of people who said, well, I don't want to trick people into clicking onto my website. And if you're doing SEO correctly, you are not tricking anyone. And in fact, if you were to optimize and put keywords on your website where you didn't actually provide that service, it wasn't really relevant, you weren't really located in the place that you said you were, you would be penalized by Google and your content probably wouldn't show up anyways. So really, I always think that SEO is about service. You have an incredible gift. You have a service. You have a business that's going to help people, and you are doing a service to them by allowing them to find you. If you don't include what it is that you do, where you do it, or who you serve, they're never going to have an opportunity to connect with you. So SEO is definitely about serving your clients versus tricking them. And of course, SEO is only for big companies. We know that that's not true. And a lot of times when people talk about SEO, it's in the context of these really large websites. It's for, major e-commerce or major information sites. And that's where a lot of the conversation tends to go because they are very large, exciting enterprise kind of clients. But 46% of all searches that are done through Google are for local businesses. And so if you are not optimizing your web presence, if you do not have your keywords incorporated into your website, you are missing out. And especially if you're a local business, that's what matters, is local SEO to you. So local SEO is obviously very important for small businesses and is not exclusive to big budgets and big businesses. So some key local SEO strategies moving forward, some things that you can do yourself and if you can start today. If you don't already have a Google My Business profile, verify and claim your Google Business profile, complete all of the different options that Google provides for you, and then manage it ongoing, making sure that you are requesting those reviews in person, keeping your information up to date. Google will actually email you around significant holidays or long weekends to say, hey, are your hours still accurate? Is this still true? Doing posts on Google My Business. Basically, think of it as a free ad in Google and take advantage of it and do as much as you can with that Google Business profile. Ongoing backlinking. So again, if you are a member of any organization or society or chamber of commerce or anything like that, seeing if there are options for having a citation or a directory listing with that website, offering to write blog posts for other websites that have a relevant audience to yours, where they can mention your business. These are all really valuable ways of getting those backlinks that actually connect you with the right audience. Then, of course, your on-page SEO for local keywords. Give your website a scan right now and try to determine, can anyone who lands there determine what you do and where you do it? Those are the two most important elements for a local business. So sometimes we, as business owners and as website owners, it's really hard for us to see things clearly. And so maybe even ask a less tech savvy friend or family member to go on your website, give that honest feedback. Do they know what you do, where you do it, and can they contact you? Can they take that next best step? That's always really important for your website performance, of course. Creating that local focused content. That's where you can, again, have, local portfolios, blog posts about local things that connect you with other businesses, and really, again, start to just build and develop that trust. And then I always recommend doing some level of ongoing competitive research and awareness. Our websites don't exist in a vacuum or on an island in the context of search. When one person moves up, another person moves down. So it's important to always keep an eye out and see, what are your competitors doing? What makes their Google Business profile show up above yours? What are they doing on their website that maybe you aren't? Maybe they have separate service pages or niche landing pages for each of the communities they work in. So taking sort of ideas and then improving upon what it is that your competitors are doing is also really important for ongoing SEO performance and success. So I know that was a lot of information going over everything local. I would love to answer any questions that anybody has or anything in particular that maybe I didn't cover in this round, but I can dive into more.
Eddie, that was so good.
Awesome.
I do have a question, but I'll let everyone else go first. No one? Okay, so Bree.
Hey, yeah, just a quick one, more about like online directories. You mentioned them a few times, but is there any best practice for like what would be a good number of directories to make sure that your business is listed in? Like, is there a good objective there to reach and make sure, okay, yeah, I can check that box?
Yeah, I would say certainly getting on any of the major directories that show up. So like having a Yelp, having a Yellow Pages, depending on your industry, it will look different. And so this is where some of that competitive
Right.
analysis comes in, is make a search for your business locally and see what are some of those directories that are coming up. And that way, if someone clicks into that, maybe you didn't get that click directly, but if they go into that aggregator, you still have an opportunity to be showing up there. So definitely take a look into those. This is another one with sort of competitive analysis, where if you have a competitor that is always showing up number one and they have like 1,000 backlinks, they have, a ton of backlinks, that may be a factor. So that's when, okay, maybe backlinking and, finding those online citations becomes a little bit more important. If your competitors don't, and they rely more just on having, lots of reviews, then you can say, you know what, that might not be worth my effort and my time. Let's just do something, where again, we reach out to anything that's sort of currently in our network to try to get a backlink in an online citation. Having locally focused content is also another really great way to get backlinks, because if you create something, especially if you have firsthand knowledge and experience. So like, let's say you are a hairstylist and you're seeing that like all of a sudden everybody's coming in for a particular haircut or a particular style or something like that, saying like, when it comes, in the fall, 60% of our haircuts are bobs. Everyone's going short for fall. Whatever that firsthand knowledge is, that's the kind of stuff that other people love to pick up. That firsthand research, firsthand experience. If you own, a store where you're selling particular items, it's like, this is the hot thing this summer. That's stuff that like local, news agencies, local like, local interest websites. Like here we have Victoria Buzz, and it's just like things that are going on in town. They love that kind of stuff. So even reaching out to some of those local, lifestyle and, interest piece news agencies locally, you can say, hey, if you're ever looking for a quote about X, Y, and Z, let us know. And I'd be happy to provide a quote. I'd be happy to provide insight. That's a really great way of getting a very high value backlink to your site.
That was super helpful. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Anyone else? So my question is around, why is it that as soon as you get a website, you're guaranteed to get like 10 emails a day about how some SEO agency can get you a better ranking? Like what is it about that industry? I just marked them all as spam.
Yeah.
So I'm curious just what your insight is as to why that is. Am I doing the right thing by marking as spam? And is it true that it is just all spam?
Yeah, I mean, that particular tactic is, pretty specific to, a particular type of provider in our industry. I feel like, again, in my decade of working in SEO, one of the biggest things that I end up having to fight against and educate against is this prevalence of spam in the industry. And these are people who may never even ask for access to your website. Oftentimes what they do is they'll buy up a bunch of backlinks to dead pages, 404s, some Russian directory, like just something that is not of actual real value, and say, we did SEO because we got you a bunch of backlinks. So yes, this tactic is basically a spray and pray. They send out hundreds of these emails a day to they use scrapers that basically go through by city, industry. If your email shows up on any other website, they'll take that email, they'll send it to you, and they hope that every day they get a handful of people who get spooked and say, oh my gosh, I do need to do this, and reach back out and work with them. So you are right to mark those as spam, because that's what they are. And yeah, I often will talk to people, because most people's experience with SEO and working with SEO providers is one of two ends of the spectrum. One is those spam emails that you get, hiring someone off of Upwork for $5 to get you a bunch of backlinks. These sort of like really cheap, offshore, kind of sketchy SEO tactics. Or you have, marketing professionals who say, if you don't spend $10,000 a month on your website, you're doomed. Like, there's no way you can succeed. You have to do all of this. They use big language, lots of jargon, lots of things to sort of bamboozle and confuse and make entrepreneurs and business owners feel small and incapable and, you know, just overwhelmed, so that they say, here, you just do it. Clearly, you know what you're talking about. I used to say that you know, my team strike a middle ground, but honestly, I feel like it's not even the same playing field. Like, it's just not how we operate. And I think that finding people who do any job, I mean, I'm sure social media marketers see it all the time, that people are, you know, it's less prevalent in email. SEO seems to be the thing with sending spam emails, but you know, you see people who are like, yeah, I'll do it for cheap. I'll do it for, you know, quick. We have this, you know, automation that makes it faster, whatever. And I think finding someone that you also is willing to walk you through it and is willing to say, here's actually what this means. Here's what this looks like on your site. Because a lot of people that I've worked with who have worked with other SEOs in the past say, well, I don't even know what they did. I don't know if it worked. I don't know what happened on my site. I don't even know if I gave them access to my website. So I always say, by the end of working with me, I don't want anyone to walk away and say, I have no idea what they did. I want to make sure that people are informed and empowered without being overwhelmed, without having to get into the weeds. So to, you know, long answer to your quick question, yes, those are spam, and you can ignore it. And they basically just try to use scare tactics to get somebody to agree to work with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You have a follow-up question that you did just kind of touch on, but because of what I do, naturally, I'm having way more SEO conversations than most.
Mhm.
And people say constantly, like, I've never had somebody say the opposite. Well, I shouldn't say that. Most of the time they say, yes, I'm paying, you know, it could be anywhere from $100 to $2,000 a month for SEO.
Yeah.
Ongoing, and they have no idea what that person is doing. And so what would you say, like, almost like a checklist or an audit, like,
Yeah.
hey, you have to self-identify if you are a victim of a scam,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
because I'm finding most are.
Yeah. One of the first things that I look at is, what is the reporting? What information are they giving you about what they're doing? So for some of the people that I've seen who have been scammed, the reports that they received was like a Google sheet with one line that just referenced domain authority and like number of backlinks. So right away, that tells me they are not optimizing the person's website. All they're doing is getting backlinks. And for this person in particular, they were spending $1,000 a month with a person. They ended up getting 4,000 back. Oh, it was from 4,000 domains, but 15,000 backlinks. And when we started clicking through them, almost all of them either went to like gibberish blog posts, like things that like literally just did not make sense, but were like formatted as a blog post, or dead pages. And they basically just paid for 15,000 spammy backlinks that we then had to disavow and remove anyways. So, but their reporting only reflected that they were getting backlinks. But, you know, as a client, you don't always know to ask that. So the things that, for example, we include in our reporting, we always look at, of course, your local rankings. How are you actually doing locally? Your traffic, how many people are coming to your website? How are they engaging with your website? So if you're getting 1,000 people a day to your website, but they're bouncing after they're only staying on for 2 seconds, then you know that it's not relevant traffic. This is particularly prevalent for ads. I see a lot of like people who are like, yeah, I get so many clicks on my ads. And it's like, well, people are leaving immediately. So no one's converting. And then ultimately conversions, and clarifying with that team, what does that conversion mean? Because I've worked with other service workers where they were like, oh, a conversion to us, we're tracking as someone who completes 2/3 of your contact form. That's a conversion. And I said, no, a conversion is someone who submits the contact form and actually reaches out. So sometimes people will mark conversions as things that are not really conversions to sort of inflate the numbers. I'd also ask for like a list of what are your monthly activities. It is sometimes a balance where even if someone explained it in detail, sometimes people might still not understand, but it's also about the openness of being able to say, this is what we did. This is what we're doing this month. Like For example, at Searchlight, we develop 6-month strategies for each of our clients, and we have our action items listed out. And as they are completed, we check them off so that at any time our clients can go back and see, this is what they've done so far this month. This is, waiting for a review on my part. This is, this is what's happening. I'd also question the level of engagement that they have with you as a client. Are they asking you questions? Are they sending you emails? Are they asking for you to at least review and approve things? Or do you just get a report every month, or just, get an invoice from them every month with no real engagement? I think those are all sort of major red flags that something is not quite right.
Amazing. Thank you. I'm stealing all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I talked to a lot of people, like you said, who are paying a lot of money, and I'll go onto their website and their homepage doesn't have a primary header, or their meta tags have never been optimized. And they're like, no, we've been working diligently on our SEO for years. It's like, even if you were doing it right and ethically, even if you were doing the best backlinking possible, if you're sending people to a website that is not optimized, that's not helpful. If you are, doing, keyword optimization on a website that is technically broken and is not performing well, that's also not helpful. So it's very multifaceted. And when you talk about SEO, it's very difficult to look at anything as, well, let's just do this. Let's just do this one element of SEO when everything is integrated into each other. So keeping an eye out for that as well.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So how many times, or when would you say, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want SEO, and you go onto this website and it's like subpar, let's just that term. Like, would you ever say, I'm sorry, I can't do SEO on this because I could do all the work possible, but if they land here, this is not going to convert them, no matter how much SEO we can do?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it, and actually in my welcome guide that I send to all of our clients, I have a list of SEO activities and CEO activities. And I say, this is what I can do as an SEO. I can build you relevant content. I can make sure that your website is technically strong. Because I guess it depends on what about the website is not working. There's some things that we can fix, that we can start to restructure and do that will, help improve. I can make sure that we're tracking analytics. I can make sure all of these things. I don't have control over the pricing of your product. The experience that someone has when they call you, is your front desk person friendly and helpful or not? Do you answer your emails? There's a shocking number of business owners that just never respond to the people that reach out to them through their inbox. So little things that, CEOs and business owners can do to help improve that performance. There are people definitely where I recommend that they work with a web designer. I've sent a lot of people, Meredith's way, where I'm like, this is not my skill set, but I know that having strong web design is going to help. There are certain things we can do, like with, difficulty for booking, making sure that we have calls to actions throughout each of the pages, clear navigation at the top. We are taking, at Searchlight and myself, taking more of a user experience lens to the work that we do, because I think you're doing your client a disservice when you just look and say, well, I added my keywords and my SEO job is done. But when you have your North Star ultimately as increased conversions, you look at things differently, because it's not just about getting people to the site. It's about, are we getting the right people who will ultimately convert from this website? So user experience and conversion rate optimization are also a part of our consciousness. If it's not necessarily in our skill set, depending on, actually implementing based on the website itself, but there's always little tweaks and things that can be done. And again, at this point, I've worked with so many businesses in very different industries, like, again, a lot of local service providers, mom and pops, e-commerce, international businesses, multi-location businesses. And I honestly can't think of one that did not benefit in some way from having SEO implemented on their site. I think that SEO is a process and a framework that can be applied across any different industry and any different niche. So everyone can certainly benefit from it. It just depends on where we're starting.
Yeah. The way I always describe it is using an analogy, like you've decided you're going to sell your house and you just throw up the for sale sign and, you put all these ads out. And so all these people are coming through, but what you failed to do is clean the house, stage the house, and done all these things. And so it's sort of like the SEO that's bringing people, but we need to make sure that that structure is ready and explaining, what's going to happen, here's that, or, the lot size and all of that. So that's the analogy I like to use, that like, hey, you can go and spend $1,500 from this likely scam SEO, and you're going to get all these numbers that your clicks are but if they're not converting, it's usually an issue with the fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love the way that web design, and I love working with web designers in particular, because oftentimes, even on the sort of the other side of that coin, is sometimes people can build the most beautiful house that has all the trimmings and all the finishings, and there's no road that leads there. And so we want to make sure that those things work together, that we're bringing people in, and then also that we're engaging them. And again, nothing is an island. Nothing is, oh, if you just do ads, then you're good. If you just do SEO, you're good. If you just build a website, you're good. A lot of these things do end up having to work together and sort of create an ecosystem around that.
Yeah, that's the term I love. Yeah. Joanne, yeah. Oh, she's on mute. Here, I can...
Okay. Hi, I'm here in Montreal. Sorry, I missed on and off parts of what you were saying. What do you do about Montreal? Is it like the SEO is in French and English, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's actually its own beast. And I will say, like, multi-language SEO is also its own sort of issue. I know in Quebec that there are regulations and rules around like language requirements for websites that are operating out of Quebec and out of Montreal. I would say that some of that would be down to research and seeing, are people searching locally for French terminology and French phrases? I think also depending on your website platform, I know things like WordPress and Shopify, you can create multiple language versions of your site. So you can have like a French version and an English version. And so in that case, you might be doing a bit of doubling up on at least your meta tags and your content. But I would imagine that, again, the process would be similar. It would just be a matter of which language it's being done in. So I'm not as fluent or proficient in French as I would want to be or should be, being a Canadian. But yeah, that would have to be one where you would probably look specifically and do research specifically for Montreal and try the variations of the phrases. So what's your business?
Home staging.
Okay, so you would probably want to search like home staging Montreal QC, or like, Montreal, and then the French version of those words.
Which has been le home staging, but it's all mise en scène, and nobody uses these words, so it's been pretty
yeah, that's tricky. That's an interesting one. I'd actually love to look into more. And I just, not on purpose, but just by happenstance, haven't worked with a lot of companies in Montreal or in Quebec, simply because of the nuance involved in that and the language skill needed. But yeah, that would be an interesting one to learn more about, in particular for Quebec, because they are so rigid. I did work on a website once that was an e-commerce website. She was based in Quebec, and what she ended up doing was actually blocking Quebec users from accessing the website. So she was in particular not serving Quebec because it was so arduous to have to jump through all the hoops of serving people there. So obviously not as much a choice for you because you're providing local, like, in-service, in-person services. But yeah, that's an interesting one. I would say, yeah, look into it and see what the options are on both sides. And then just see if there's an option for having a multi-language website functionality where you can have both an English and a French version. Optimize the English, and then it'll probably auto translate for French.
Okay, interesting.
Squarespace has that now too, Teddy.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyone else? I know we're approaching our 1 hour. Yes. Go for it.
I just had to like listen a little bit before I'm like, okay, there it is. The thoughts are coming along, because it was very informative, very awesome. So there was lots of good points and lots of good takeaways. So I appreciate that. Thank you. My question, I think, is images on websites for like alt text or SEO. What is like the best practice there? Because that one always confuses me, because I do photography, so there's a lot of images on my website, but then it's kind of that confusion of like different things that I've read, and I'm like, what is the best way to go about that?
Yeah, so first, as far as like sizing goes, there's a couple different things, and one, it depends on your platform. I think the rule of thumb is like under 500 KB is like an ideal file size for uploading for web res. I know it's hard, and I work with photographers who are like, I want like art gallery quality images on my website. And it is one of those moments where it's like, maybe not. One option that you might have is specifically for galleries, having a link to a gallery page that's maybe hosted on like where you share your images through, so that it's not, those images are not having to be loaded on your website where it can be really slow. It can link off to another website that hosts like all 100 pictures that go with this particular wedding album, and just having more teasers on your website itself. Also making sure that your websites, when they are uploaded, are not physically too large. Sometimes people don't actually constrain the images, and so Google or your website will try to load it at like twice the size of your website, and then it has to bring it back down. And so that work sometimes also will slow down a website. So just making sure that things are both sized from a pixel perspective as well as from a file size perspective. That can be really helpful with loading. Image alt text, very important. One for local SEO, because you're going to show up in image search results. So that's very valuable, adding image alt text. Also very important for accessibility. So if anyone is using any kind of assistive technology on your website, it will describe the image. For photographers in particular, there's a lot of great opportunity in being very specific about locations. So if you did an engagement shoot in a particular park or a wedding at a particular location, adding that information in is going to be extremely valuable. So making sure that you're as clear as possible, instead of just like wedding aisle photo, it's like wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral, Toronto, like whatever that is, being very specific. One, because that's often what people are searching for, especially I'm going to, assuming like the wedding space, or even, family photography, whatever people are looking, also by location. But because when you are describing that image, it's actually more helpful for anyone who is using assistive technology to have it actually described to them. So you want to match between accuracy, but also ideally incorporating keywords and search terms into the image alt text.
Okay. So like, say I shoot a real estate agent in Komoka, then you would be naming like what you're doing and then the place. So real estate agent headshots in Komoka at this park or place, or
you could do like headshot, headshot like photographer in such and such, or headshot photo shoot in location. You could also include their name if you wanted to, because then it'll show up for that, like for people if are searching like that particular realtor, might click on it and then see, a photographer. So it's the rule of thumb and the guidance is like, if you're describing the photo to someone on the phone and you're trying to explain like, what are you taking a photo of? It's like, oh, I did this realtor's headshots in this park. Okay, that's what you would use then to actually describe the image with alt text.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, because it's funny. It's like even just like a Googling, that it's like if I search like branding photography in my area, it's like my mentor or like previous mentor last year in Windsor shows up first. I'm like,
yeah,
dang it. So
looking and again seeing, well, what is she doing? Is she blogging? Does she have lots of followers?
Everything.
Yeah, and some people are doing everything, and that's when you're like, okay, how much do I have to devote to this? And honestly, sometimes I say when they go high, go niche. So if they're ranking for like wedding photographer Toronto, which is like such a big, like that's probably something that's like really difficult to rank for. That's when you say, let's make a gallery page that's all about this particular venue, or venues in this area, woodland themed wedding venues in whatever, like becoming more niche. You're going to be more likely to rank, and you're still going to be getting those warm leads who are interested in the things that you provide. So looking for niche things, answering questions that people have that you hear a lot, that's really valuable blog content. So yeah, looking when things are very competitive, I always say scale down a little bit more and get more specific and more niche.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Teddy. So in the replay, I'll be sure, obviously, to include all of Teddy's contact information and her Instagram obviously she posts lots of valuable content, so be sure you're following so you can get all the tickets and everything like that. But I want to respect everyone's time here, but yeah, thank you so much. That was fantastic. So hopefully you all walk away with a couple action items that you think will be beneficial to your business. I have no doubt. So, okay. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.